thank you for joining us for Elko Live today, our weekday show. And I'm so pleased to feature in studio today our guest, who is the director of Elko County Mybrary. And Cassie Antonucci also happens to be president of the Nevada Library Association. Cassie, so it's a pleasure to sit across from you. Thank you.
No, it's great to be here.
So we're going to get an update on our local Mybrary, which is the rebranded name of our local Elko County Library, which the libraries have been around for, our library is over 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Our library, as it stands today, is 100 years old. And then we've had a few libraries before that. And then libraries in America, Ben Franklin established what you would consider today's public library. And then you can go as far back as 5,000 years. You start looking at Library of Alexandria, which, we're all still sad over losing.
Absolutely. We'd love to go into that library. Yeah, so definitely a long tradition of just being an important part of human society, a collective, if you will.
I would say so.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about our Mybrary. So if I refer to Mybrary, sometimes I slip up and say library, but we all do it, right? So it's okay. We're all getting used to it still. 720 Court Street. There are also branches throughout the county. You have teeny tiny corners in places like Crescent. Well, Crescent Valley has a really nice library. We got to go there together, right?
They do. They're in their community center, so they built a portion of that to be the library. We have one in Eureka right behind the courthouse, so it's, easy access. We even go up to Tuscarora. Their post office lets us keep a little book corner there. And of course, we send the bookmobile there to help supplement. And Jackpot, the school library in the afternoons and evenings, becomes a public library that we oversee. So the school library technically is open to the public after 3 o'clock their time.
Wow, that's fantastic. Our Elko County Library, again, serves Eureka and White Pine counties as well. You assist White Pine with a lot of their needs.
We do. So they do have their own library system, and we help supplement by sending the bookmobile down there, or the Mybrary Mobile as it's been rebranded. And we'll go down to like Baker, Lehman Caves. We'll stop at some of the old Pony Express stops along the way. So it's great.
It's a wonderful part of Nevada history, and there were women delivering books on horseback. That's also a part of our tradition and history, not just in the West, but I understand in other parts of the country, Cassie, long ago. That's how important it was that people get books in the hands of people who want to read.
Mm-hmm. A lot of libraries were homegrown stories, people gathering any books they could and fitting them in any part of the community they could get to.
So we're part of a great tradition, and especially if you're a member of Friends of Mybrary, which I know you had a really cool book sale, and I hope you signed up a few more friends during that. It's never too late to become a friend of the Mybrary, which is the local support group.
Yes, so that's our fundraising arm. The library, of course, accepts donations. We do get those. But the Friends are the ones that host our Just Desserts event. If you haven't been to that, that's our 21 and over event. That'll be in September. The library will be full of drinks and desserts, raffle items, auction items. It's a great event. Helps support all of our libraries in the system, programming, the bookmobile, technology. We've used it for so many different things. They've been recently trying to participate in more community events. They're looking for more volunteers or members. So if anyone's interested, you can stop by the library, and we have applications available at the library.
There are lots of different levels of support and sponsorship, by the way, from an individual to a family. It's just a great way to show your continued support with some non-restricted funds that the Mybrary can always use.
Yes, so these are strictly for the library. It's set up in what we call a gift account. They don't run through the county. They're just set aside for whatever the library needs. We've received funds that we've been able to use to help purchase the new bookmobile. So in 2006, a lot of those donations were to purchase the new bookmobile. Carlin, they also have a friends group, and they helped us purchase all the new computers for the Carlin Mybrary. So, it's great.
That's a lot of support from within communities to support the Elko County Mybrary, which it sounds to me, the way things have been going nationally, we're getting get an update from Cassie on what's happening statewide and even locally about funding of libraries. But support is more important now than ever. Not just support on social media, but any contributions you can give. Certainly standing up and talking more about the significance of libraries in our community. We have a library board of trustees. That's important to note too.
Yes, so Nevada is one of the few states where our library board is a governing board, not an advisory board. So they do set our policies, they overlook the budget and determine where the funds get used. So we do have public meetings, just like the county commissioners do. The public are welcome to come in and make comment, ask questions. They would love to hear from the public. That's typically the third Tuesday of every month at 4 in the Elko Library meeting room. And then as for budgets, yes, there is a lot of interesting stuff going on. Not just for libraries, for everyone, but library-wise, for those that haven't heard, there is a federal organization called, we refer to it as IMLS. It's the Institute of Museum and Library Sciences. And they are the only federal agency that supports all libraries, public, academic, special, school, and museums. And earlier this year, we were told that there would be cuts. We weren't sure amounts, what was going on. We're still kind of unsure of where that stands. A few weeks ago, the state indicated that we would still possibly receive funding from IMLS, just about half of what the state anticipated. And now the proposed presidential budget calls for the complete elimination. So we really have no idea where that funding stands.
So in talking with Cassie Antonucci, she was able to research for us, and obviously if we have the zero funding from the federal government for our libraries, and this is not just libraries, but nationwide, there are several things that we would lose or find great reduced service.
Yeah, so for our library system specifically, that is our databases. So all of our research databases, our LinkedIn Learning, Rosetta Stone, those are all provided through the state using IMLS funding. So we would definitely lose those. We're looking into other options, but we'd be losing a lot of buying power, and locally would have to come up with funds we didn't have before. We'd be looking at nationwide, possibly losing Talking Books. That is a program for those who are blind or visually impaired. It provides books that are in Braille or special audio equipment that they can borrow and take home and listen to the stories. That's fully IMLS funded. So we're not sure as of right now. My understanding is that would be cut. And then locally, our bookmobile, which I know is very much loved and receives a lot of use, that is partially IMLS funded. And losing those funds, we're not sure how that would impact our ability to serve our community. Would we have to reduce hours? Would we lose it altogether? That's the part we're still trying to understand.
And Cassie, this is one of the biggest counties geographically in the country, right? That's why we have a bookmobile?
Exactly. At one point, the bookmobile had the third largest route in the country. So it is a nationally known bookmobile. And I know our patrons, they love it dearly. When it had to be off the road for a while, it was so sweet. When we drove into Baker, they had a big old welcome back sign. So I know it's something that would be missed. And even those that don't use it today have very fond memories of when they were younger and using the bookmobile.
Yes, it's a legacy in itself. It's something that we look forward to funding for future generations. And I didn't want to put you too much on the spot, but the bookmobile does put on a lot of miles, does visit a diverse variety of communities, whether it's one-room schools, which we still have in Elko County, prisons, for example, we've gone to in the past, and as you said, just teeny tiny towns that dot rural Nevada along the way.
Yeah, no, we use it to cover all kinds of locations. Like you mentioned, we visit the honor camps. So Carlin Wells and White Pine honor camps. We bring books to the prisoners there. We help the local charter schools. We go out to the public schools even to help supplement their libraries. The teachers bring the students out to get books. We go to Ruby Valley. We hit up the ranches or Montello, the areas where it's a bit harder to come into Elko all the time when you need materials. So it's definitely a valuable resource for our community, which is really spread apart.
Yeah, could be homeschoolers, for example, as you mentioned too, that it's a serious foundation for education. So those are some of the local services. And what about the development of collections in the future? I mean, how important is this federal or state funding to that?
So we receive a large chunk of state funding for collection development. Specifically, we've used it a lot for our ebooks. So if you love Libby, a lot of that is provided through IMLS and state funding. My thought behind all of this, if we lose this state supplemented funding, we would have to come up with funds elsewhere. So we'd be looking at reducing how many materials we're buying in certain collections. We'd be looking at reducing different services so that we could balance this out and make sure we're still meeting everyone's needs, just maybe not as much as we've been able to in these past few years.
Cassie Antonucci is our Mybrary director here in Elko, but again, a big area of supervision. And I'm sure you've had conversations with staff. Are we okay here in Elko County? I mean, we want to talk about the local budget. I understand you are well supported when it comes to Elko County.
Yes, so we are sitting good locally. The county has worked well with us. I know budgets are tight across the board for everyone, but we should be okay this next fiscal year. We sat down, we worked out the numbers, and as far as I know, everything's good. No cuts for the library locally. We also have a lot of community support. People bring in book donations, or occasionally we'll just bring a little bit of cash for us to put it towards programming, or bring in new books for our families and different things.
Oh, there is a dedicated tax that supports the Elko County Mybrary system, but obviously going forward, Cassie, this is reliant on capital gains from what you were describing.
Yes. Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat.
You're okay.
So we do have a dedicated tax for the library system here in Elko. It mostly goes off of property taxes and consolidated taxes. And while we're okay right now, there was a lot of finagling to be this way. And we're not sure, I think a lot of us aren't sure about the future and what funding will look like. Especially capital gains, that relies on big local purchases, and we haven't been seeing as much of that this last year. So there is the chance that while we're okay this year, the next fiscal we could be looking at cuts.
Okay, so something to keep in mind going forward. And you're also discovering, Cassie, the Elko County Mybrary is a huge community partner. There are a lot of nonprofit agencies, organizations. People work well together to avoid redundancy and to strengthen the relationships so that we best benefit our communities. We saw that at the volunteer fair, last night at the museum. But you're also finding that community partners are also being hit.
Yes, a lot of the different partners that we've worked with to bring programming or to supplement services that we can't offer. For example, Nevada Outdoor School, I know they just lost several of their grants, and I think they're trying to understand what their funding will look like going forward. United Way of Nevada, which provides a lot of different services. For us, that's part of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library that provides books to children under 5, as well as some other activities that we've done. Our local Head Start is looking at funding cuts. So it's not just us that we're trying to envision what the future will look like. We're also having to envision what our partnerships are going to look like.
We know that in the state, Cassie, you mentioned there may be an effort to form some sort of consortium with the libraries throughout Nevada. Whether or not our community partners could do something like that, we need a new source of funding.
We do. So the state library has looked at starting a new library consortium that all of I believe there's 17 library districts in Nevada. We would join, and it would create buying power. Basically, the more you can buy, the cheaper the cost is. It's funny how that works. And the longer the contract, the cheaper the price can be. And that's a power the state's been able to leverage using IMLS funds. So now we're looking at, is there a way for the local academic school public libraries to put in local funding to accomplish that same buying power? I imagine the larger libraries would have some okay with that. The smaller libraries, I think, are going to really struggle to find that additional funding because they're already struggling just to maintain normal operations.
and whether or not we could find strength. The universities and colleges are also going through their own machinations, I guess it's fair to say. It might be difficult for, say, NSHE to partner with someone, in the community. I think our college library works really well with Elko County Mybrary, right?
We do. We have some great partnerships with them. And in fact, even our internet provided here in Elko is through NSHE. They pulled fiber from the college to our building to help us, so it would be as expensive and we could offer better quality internet and Wi-Fi for everyone.
Oh, that's a wonderful collaboration.
It is. And Eureka as well. We were able to pull from NSHE. They supplement a few county agencies down there, including their local clinic. And so they're like, oh, you're just down the street. Can we connect to you too? And we're like, absolutely.
Well, those are wonderful examples of ways that we can hopefully help to make up for these cuts. We just heard, as I was describing, Cassie is president of the Nevada Library Association, so she does know quite a bit about the inner workings. These are all good plans, and librarians are resourceful. I mean, that's sort of your middle name. But it's difficult to plan around something that's in a constant state of turmoil or being paused.
And that is hard. So we have several contingency plans that we've been tossing around, but a lot of it is until we know for sure what's going to happen, we can't lock anything in place. We'll survive. We always do. We might not look the same, but we'll survive.
Katie, bar the door. That's and that goes back to Scotland, by the way. So that's one of those phrases. So we did hear this morning that Carla Hayden was dismissed, and of course she was a librarian of Congress. Doesn't oversee the institutes of museums and library sciences, but again, could be indicative. I mean, we have a federal counterpart of the IMLS, right?
Yes. So, and this isn't the first cut they've made. We also saw this with their archivist a month or two ago. So we are seeing sort of a coordinated plan in cutting these types of services, and it's really disheartening. The Library of Congress keeps a lot of records, and they set a lot of library standards that a lot of public libraries look to. Even our local college uses the Library of Congress cataloging system. So if you've been in the college library and you're looking and you're like, this looks different than the public library, that's because they're using a specialized cataloging system that was designed by the Library of Congress.
Wow, that's fascinating, Cassie. And we also want people to understand, again, that some of this, unfortunately, like education, like healthcare, some of the things that are so important and dear to us, not just social programs, but are being politicized. And it's fair to say that here in Elko County, at least as long as I've been here, and that's decades, when people try to restrict access to materials, I often see pushback. I don't see as much of the deep political divisions. Even groups that you might expect, but would have a conservative belief and not want to see certain materials, Cassie, they seem to stand up for the right to be able to access materials. I mean, I don't know, unless something else has been going on. It's possible. No,
I think we've been very fortunate. Our community, like I've mentioned before, very supportive of the library, and I know that we have materials not everyone agrees with. And that's sort of the whole point of a library, is we're here for everyone in the community, regardless of your ideology, belief system, anything. Our only goal is to provide information for you to make up your own decisions. And I think a lot of people recognize that. And while we do get the occasional, like, I disagree with this item, most of them are understanding that even though they disagree with it, it's important to have. And so we have a lot of great conversations with our community members, and they're really supportive, and we really appreciate that.
That's nice to hear. So you are able to deal with those one-on-one if those occasions arise, obviously. So I think the only pushback that I've actually seen came before the Elko County School Board of Trustees, and that's been few and far between. So, and they've dealt with that type of situation too. There's kind of an independent, maybe even a libertarian streak here in Elko County, if you think about it. So.
No, that's entirely possible. I think a lot of people, my own philosophy is live and let live. So I'm not here to tell you how to believe or live your life. As long as you're not hurting others, then I think we'll get along great.
And I think Elko County has a lot of great parents and caregivers and people who protect children from, either experiences or materials, anything that they feel that they shouldn't be exposed to. The parents are doing a good job of parenting.
And I agree 100% there. And that's another important aspect of the public library is we're not their parents. And I would hate to tell a child they can't do something and then their parent no, they can. You don't have the right to tell them that. And that's why we don't take that hard stance. We leave it up to the parents. They're encouraged to pay attention to what their children are reading or doing in the library and have those own at-home discussions about their beliefs and the rules that they have for their families, because it's going to be different in every household. But we do a lot, like I said, a lot of people are very understanding and appreciative, and we've had some really good conversations in the library around these same topics, because even though we try to be neutral, we also pay attention to our community and what our community would appreciate and use. So that's why you're not going to see certain programs or things that you might find in a bigger, more liberal city, for instance. We know our community and what they want.
And there are other places in the community for people to enjoy diverse things or activities too. I mean, that's part of it. So Elko County has a great choice.
And if we saw a need to increase different services and programs, we would meet those needs. So that's a lot of it too. Community feedback is very important to us.
In fact, that's a great segue into the topic of the survey, the Library of Things. That's fascinating.
Yes, we're very excited for this. So we've tried looking at this for a year or two now, and we've finally got a policy in place. So if you don't know what a library of things is, most people, when they think libraries, they think books. We are way more than books, but now we're going to be even more than that. So we're hoping to start checking out things like tools, instruments, hobby kits. Maybe you want to learn how to crochet but don't want to invest in it. Well, come check out the crochet tools in a book from the library and you can decide if you like it. So that's where we're at right now. The policy's in place. Now we have to look at what items would best benefit our community. So we're going to have a survey put up. It'll be on Facebook, Instagram, and our website starting next week. And we'd appreciate any type of feedback on what types of things would benefit you.
Wow, how exciting. I mean, it could be fishing poles. It could be
fishing poles. We've looked at fishing poles, hunting gear. One of the ideas I thought was really fun was a ghost hunting kit. Comes with an EMF reader.
Oh, so that is cool.
I know we do a lot of the ghost tours and stuff around town. And so
art supplies.
Supplies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow, what a great idea. So go to elkocountynv.net, or do you have your own?
So we actually have our own website.
Yes.
You can find us on the county, but we're Explore Mybrary.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. I just have it on my favorites. So, okay.
Nope. ExploreMybrary.org.
Okay, exploremybrary.org. That's where you can, and I keep reminding people of this, we have a wonderful local daily newspaper, and some people don't have the resources to subscribe, and I'm sorry about that, Elko Daily Free Press, because subscriptions are important to sustaining the paper, but Mybrary has been able to afford a subscription that the community can use, right?
Yes, so we do have an online database. It's called American News, and one of the newspapers through it is the Elko Daily Free Press. All you need to access it is a library card, which is 100% free. And the link is up on our website. So if you have a library card, you should be able to get to it. It's right on the homepage. It says digital newspapers, and then there's a link that says Elko Daily Free Press. And it's updated daily, so it's the current news. It doesn't have the images like you would if you read the local paper itself, but it does have the same articles.
That's wonderful, Cassie. So I'll just remind people now when I go on social media and comment, exploremybrary.org. That's where you start your own free subscription. And hopefully the more subscriptions that we get through Mybrary, that might also, I mean, if we can keep the federal funding intact, who knows what's going to happen. But everything has to be paid for. When there is less money, there is less everything. And that's the other thing, Cassie, I'm not sure people are understanding, is that you said it too, and you and I feel the same. There have to be cuts. We have to be conservative. We have to look for waste, abuse, and fraud, and that's the first thing that we should be doing. But less money means less everything, but we are paying the same in taxes. Nobody is getting a rebate on their taxes unless you're wealthy, wealthy, wealthy.
Nope, and I do think we're all noticing that. But no, you're right. Less funding means less services, and it's really hard for us to determine what those services are because not only is there less funding, we're seeing costs increase. This is for everyone, like in my personal life, groceries, fuel, everything, but libraries too. So book costs have gone up in the last few years. Like I can't even tie it to recent political things going on. This has just been an ongoing increase. So movies have gone up in price, just everything that we pay for. Databases, we have a legal database that they increase their price on us 5% every year. And it's, at what point does that become unmanageable? But what are our options?
Because that library is used by local attorneys.
That is, and that database is not just for the library. So we also house the Elko County Law Library. And so our legal database is used by your district judges, justices of the peace, the DA's office, the public defender's office. Like it's a very important database that we can't get rid of, but it just gets more costly.
These are the realities as we're talking today with Cassie Antonucci. She is our Elko County Mybrary Director, and she happens to be president of the Nevada Library Association as well. So fortunate to have you, your expertise, and your passion for Mybraries, libraries, and your vision for us for the future, Cassie, in our community. We promised we were going to talk about a lot of really cool things and fun things too. Not that all of these things aren't cool and important, but we need you guys to step up. We need to spread the word about protecting our Mybrary financially.
Well, and one of the easiest ways to do this is to use your library card. Or have a library card. Library funding survives based on those statistics. So people that have library cards in their communities, how many items are checked out, how many door visits we get to the library, even if you're just coming in to borrow a book, that's an important number. And we do submit that federally every year. So that goes back for forever.
Those numbers are important. And I wanted to thank the Mybrary because I went to the Medicare and Elko work group social or Medicare meeting the other night. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not old enough yet, but it's okay. I learned something and it was really important. And there were people there that were getting really important information. And that was the space provided by our Mybrary.
Libraries are community hubs, and we're an easy space to coordinate those discussions and services that our community does need. And like you said, even if you don't need it now, it doesn't mean you're not going to need it later.
Yes, I got some very valuable information from that, so I was really pleased. Other ways that you can contribute, we talked about Friends of Mybrary, becoming a friend, supporting Just Desserts, because this also raises money for some Loving Memorial scholarships.
Yes, so we do have 2 memorial scholarships open right now. One is the Julia Doran Memorial Scholarship. She was a past library staff person and Friends member. I never had the fortune to meet her, but I know that she really loved the library, and she's a big part of why we have the bookmobile today. So it's a $500 scholarship, and it's for anyone applying for higher education. And if you can show enrollment in higher education, you can apply. And it's an essay. Everything's on the website, or you can come in. Staff have the applications available. We also have the Laura Oakey Memorial Scholarship. That's another $500 scholarship. And that I did have the privilege of working with her, and she dedicated 40 years of her life, worked almost every position, and even after retirement served on the library board. So she was a very much beloved community member, Friends member, library member. And so we wanted to honor her, and a big part of her support came in updating the technology that the library's able to offer. She was part of the cutting, edge in library software. And this is back when you're talking servers were the size of like a mini coop. So she learned a lot for our library. So that's another essay that's available. The scholarships are due May 30th. And then it'll be a blind scoring, and we'll contact the awardees after June 6th.
Well, that's wonderful. Those are both, I can see those beautiful women and their smiling faces. I was fortunate to be able to know Julia and Laura both. And gosh, among the reasons I love librarians, and Cassie, you're included, is you're fierce. You guys are just fierce. You're committed and you're passionate and you understand the value of libraries.
There's something about working in a library that just brings that out in people.
It's true, and I get so much help from the librarians anytime I go in and ask for any kind of assistance there. Wonderful support and service. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, you have a wonderful staff. And we want to keep this going because we want children to feel the love and the joy that probably a lot of us and a lot of you listening were able to appreciate all the summer reading programs.
Yes, this year, summer reading, the theme is art, and we're really excited for it.
Me too.
So registration opens May 27th, and the program begins June 6th and runs through the end of July.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's all ages, 0 to 100 plus.
Because
So
lap reading counts.
lap reading counts, audiobooks count, newspapers, magazines, any reading counts.
Yes. Reading when the baby is in utero, that counts, because I can tell you that really, I think Olivia came out talking. Just because reading constantly. I could hardly wait for her to be born so I could read those books and show her the pictures. So summer reading with a theme of art. Do you have sponsors that we should mention for that?
Absolutely. So Nevada Gold Mines is once again our biggest sponsor, and we appreciate them so much. We couldn't provide a lot of the programming and incentives that we do without their support. Pizza Hut is also once again sponsoring us this year. So we'll have some free pizzas to give out for those my age that might have read books for free pizzas as a kid. That should be pretty nostalgic. And then Total Eye Care will sponsor our art contest for the youth that we do every year. So that's, and I'm sure there's more. As summer goes on, we always have people jump on and support us, and we couldn't do this without our community.
So if you, a family member, a youngster, someone you know, as you said, it's all ages. If you just devour books, this is such a cool opportunity to get out there and read. You can read in the park. You can take books with you. The thing I like about books, you can read them in bed and you can read them in the bathtub. I don't recommend reading Mybrary library books in the bathtub, because what if you got it wet or soggy? That's not cool. But you can't take a tablet in there with you. So that's the thing.
Just don't drop your tablet.
Oh my gosh, that's horrifying. So yes, summer reading with the theme of art this year. Get signed up both online and in person, Cassie?
Yes. So we'll be using Beanstack. That's the software that we've used in the past that makes it really easy to register and keep track of what you're reading and how many minutes. And then for those that don't have access to the internet, or their phone is struggling with the software, which does happen, we'll have paper forms as well.
Okay, so get signed up for summer reading. Again, you said it kicks off with registration on May 27th?
May 27th.
And then school will be out before you know it.
I know, it's all happening so fast.
Yes, and then you can just tear into all those books. I love seeing little kids come out of the library in the summer with a stack of books and their shorts and their flip-flops, and they're just so excited to get in the car and get the books and go get ice cream and start reading.
I love, this is probably a weird thing to love, but one of the biggest tantrums we see in the library is parents trying to get their kids out of the library.
I love that too. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh my gosh. If only every child could experience the tantrum because they don't want to leave the library. Oh, Cassie, thank you for bringing all these great stories to light and reminding us again of the things we love. There is also an important book club that we want to mention that could also use some more membership.
Yes. So our library is actually a special library in Nevada. We're part of the Holocaust Museum out of Vegas. So we're one of 3 locations that provides materials on that. And this year we do have some what we call the Holocaust Book Club. That's open. It's typically an adult book club, but we are accepting older teens because it is a very heavy topic. So the next meeting will be May 21st. At 4:30, they're going to read The Goddess of Warsaw by Lisa Burr. And you can register in advance, or if you just want to come in that night, we do have the books available for checkout. So if you'd like to read ahead, you're more than welcome to. And we'll have this going on through September. It's typically, let me double check what day that is.
And these are really lovely people, by the way, who lead these book clubs, and they do have, the special training and the sensitivity to deal with, just as Cassie was describing, these are heavy topics, but they are important. They're crucial to the survival of society.
Yes, it's oversaw by Hadley Noren, and she's a wonderful resource, and she's part of what brought this collection to Elko under the Governor's Council for the Holocaust resources. And the meetings will be the third Wednesday of each month, starting at 4:30, going through September 17th.
Okay. And again, if you know Hadley, you can get in touch with her. And I just saw where the governor has just signed that. I don't know whether it's an annual, but we are certainly, the governor recognizes the significance of this education.
Yes. And this year, we're also partnering with another, I believe they're called the Nevada Center, and they will be providing us with display panels about the Holocaust. So we'll have a Holocaust display in the library this summer to complement the book club. And it's got a lot of information and a lot of deep thought questions. So, we will invite the community to come and see that. And it is a sad, heavy topic, but it is something I think is important to acknowledge and remember.
Yeah, and I'll definitely put you in touch. The Elko Great Basin College Humanities Center Director, Katie Carmen Esch. I'm sure she would love to lend support to that, Cassie. I'll make sure you two know each other, because you should, and if you haven't met yet, because JBC is doing a lot of important work in the humanities as well, and these collaborations just make our community better. So, yeah.
That would be wonderful.
I know she would love to support that effort, and let us know so we can also remind people to visit the library and explore mybrary.org. That's the website. Get on there, get your free Mybrary card, and start using it. Enjoy a summer of fun. You'll be back. You're coming back at least quarterly, so we appreciate it.
Yes, no, I'm excited.
I hope we got to everything today, Cassie.
We did.
Okay. And obviously, if there are any changes, she'll let us know, and then we can let you know. But do support your local Mybrary, 720 Court Street. Go online, visit exploremybrary.org. Thank you, listeners, for joining us today.